Ambassador Tai, welcome. We are glad that you're here. I want to talk to you about enforcement actions against China, because I hear a lot about this in Tennessee. Theft of intellectual property, the genocide, the crimes against the Uyghurs, what all is happening in Xinjiang, the military aggression against Taiwan, and of course, you've got TikTok and what we're seeing there. So I know you've just announced the 301 on shipbuilding. What other enforcement actions have you taken against China?
So the action from this morning, and thank you for keeping up with the breaking news. We wanted to make sure that there's an opportunity to talk to Senate Finance today.
Any others that you have done?
Yes.
Anything to hold China to account?
Every single day, what we do, whether it's directly vis-a-vis China or it's work that we are doing with other partners and allies.
Okay, but no new cases against China at the WTO on your watch?
I mean, cases against China at the WTO have not netted us structural change in China. So
okay, so you're not going after them, and you failed to use the dispute settlement mechanisms under the Phase 1 agreement, correct?
The Phase 1 agreement enforcement, we absolutely are advancing in terms of raising the issues with China. We have done that. Right now, I think probably the most important aspect of China enforcement, set aside 301 that we just started today on shipbuilding, it comes to the review of the existing tariffs and how we can make them more effective and strategic.
Then let's talk about agriculture. We hear so much from our Tennessee farmers on this, and we know that China is not living up to their purchase commitments that they made under the last administration and under President Trump's Phase 1 deal. So what are you doing to hold China to account for those purchase commitments?
I think that we are staying very, very strong on not giving them more space. Over the course of the last 3 years, we have faced a lot of calls to release the tariffs on China. And the point that we have made over and over again is that we do not see action from China that would merit us going easier on them.
So what are you doing about that? See, this is our point of frustration, is that there are purchase commitments that they made, but they are not keeping up with those. So we have cotton and soybean producers that are saying, hey, wait a minute, who is going to stand up for us? And unfortunately, when they look at USTR and this administration, they don't see people that are going to bat for them, because you have had no new actions. There are no new cases that y'all have brought against China.
Sorry. I think that's a narrow way of looking at it. We've also not brought more retaliation on our farmers, because that is a really important part of our trade policy, which is to continue to improve the export opportunities for our farmers. One of the challenges we have with China is an over-reliance on China as a customer. They're not a monopoly here, but they're a consumer that is dominating our demand.
Countries would expect us to keep our commitment if we had made them. China is not keeping their commitment. Before my time runs out, I do want to talk with you about digital trade, and I thank you for the response to my letter on small business impact and of the digital trade rules. I disagree with you on that, because I think the change in digital trade policy is not one that has been welcome. And the Biden administration might think the change is going after big tech, but what you're doing is really hurting countless small businesses. And you made a comment in your opening that you were slow walking the changes. You brought up the work we were doing in Judiciary Committee on Privacy, and you brought up COSA as a justification for not doing something on digital trade provisions. And I would remind you that international agreements on digital trade do not preclude countries from passing privacy laws. You can look at the EU. You can look at GDPR. You can look at New Zealand. You can look at Canada. You can look at Australia. So that is an excuse and not an accuracy. I see my time is over, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.